All right, all right, all right. Let's get ready to rock and roll. Beautiful. All right. So before we get started, welcome everybody. I wanted to say thank you to y'all. Let me know where you're from. So in the chat, let me know where you are joining from so we can let y'all see where everyone is coming from. Porterville, hey, down the road. Newman, Elk Grove, beautiful. Newman, a lot of people from Newman. Sacramento, up north, yes, beautiful. Porterville, I love it. I love it. Central Valley is representing. So let's get started. San Dimas, yes. So if you are ready to rock and roll, how many people are in here? 23. I think we're capping off with just a couple more. Duarte, thank you so much. Are you guys ready to rock and roll? If you're ready to rock and roll, hit yes. And while you're doing that, I am going to let you know a couple different things. First, if your cameras are on, beautiful, thank you. Because what happens is it allows me to know that I'm doing a good job when I see people like nodding and smiling or laughing. Because if I don't see anything or I see you doing this, I'm going to be like, they're not paying attention and I'm not doing a really good job. So please be engaged. We're going to be engaged in two different ways. One, on the chat. So thank you for all the yeses. Two, facial expressions. And I would even say a third one. If I tell you to come off mute and you want to dialogue with the group, let's dialogue in the group and let's get that started. So what we are talking about here is leadership and shifting our leadership hats and shifting power into influence. Here's the thing that I've learned, and if you've seen me speak before, my whole keynote that I give is on the hats that we wear. And sometimes you wear a hat because you have a bad hair day. I wear a hat because I'm not trying to burn my head. But when we go to work, we tend to do 100 different things when we work. So think about this. What I want you to do in the chat is write the different hats that you wear, not actual physical hats, but you're a lead, you're a nurse, the ice pack maker, maybe you do content creation for your site. Maybe you're the photographer. Maybe you're the boo-boo fixer, the nurse. You are the counselor. Like, there are so many different hats that we wear. I want to know what hat you think and you feel that you wear. A lead, mentor, nurse, yes. Therapist, yes, for sure. Coach. You also hear people like, I didn't sign up for this, or I don't get paid for this. No, well, there's a lot of stuff we don't sign up for. Like when we get married, right? We don't sign up for the bad times, but at the same time, we do, right? For goodness and for good times and bad times, for sickness and in health. Like you're in this thing for all the different things. So yes, problem solver for sure. Consultant, yeah, coach, mentor. See, coach a lot. Good. So we have different hats, and this is the thing. We can influence people by the different hats that we wear. Ooh, there's some good ones that's coming in. A partner hat, coalition, supervisor hat. Yeah, and a lot more. Yes. And so what happens is sometimes we go into a situation with the wrong hat on, which is where we find conflict. We come up with the hat of expectations, and because somebody else had different expectations, we miss each other and we start to butt heads. And so how am I supposed to lead as a lead or as a director, as a manager, as a lead, as a site lead? How do I manage those people that I oversee and meet them where they are? How do I get to see things from their perspective? And sometimes we are wearing the wrong hat. Like when I come home, part of my story is when I come home from work, I would still have manager hat on or director hat on when I was in charge of programs for the nonprofit that I used to work for. And as soon as I come home, my kids were like, Dad's home. And I'm like, shh, Mom's on the phone. And we're all these toys. And all of a sudden I start managing and directing my own kids because I have manager and director hat on, when I need to be at the door and take that hat off when I come home and put dad hat on. husband hat on. How am I supposed to, and here's, if you're taking notes, this is what hats stand for. So if you're taking notes, this is what I want you to write down. I want you to write down this. How do I handle what I hear? How do I give attention with the right attitude? How do I transform the temperature? When I was learning under John Maxwell, he talked about the difference in being a thermometer and being a thermostat. One tells you how hot or how cold it is, but the thermostat shows you, hey, we can change the temperature in here. So how do I transform the temperature? And then lastly, S, how do I steward the position that I've been given? To me, the S is the biggest one of them all. How do I steward the position that I've been given? Here's the harsh reality of the work that we do. Here's the harsh reality. No matter how great the people are that we work with and how much your organization loves you, ready? Here's the harsh reality. Here's a hard pill to swallow. You are replaceable. And when you leave, the day that you leave, they're going to fill your spot before your seat even gets cold. And then what's going to happen is you might go to another job and go, dang, I actually had it kind of good there. I like that boss better than this boss. I like the people that I work with over there than over here. Man, I was getting paid to play games, to run around, to work with other people. Like, it was a good thing that I had. And if you would then go back to your position, working with students and working with staff in the after school program space, what would you do differently? And if what you do now differs than what you would do then, tells you that maybe I am not stewarding the position that I've been given. I know that now that I travel around the United States and soon to be world, when I speak next month in Canada and some other places, is that if I was to ever go back to the nonprofit that I work for, I would lead completely different. God, I made so many mistakes. And if I could just go back and change those things, but I can't. But now what I can do is help y'all don't make the same mistakes that I did when I was a lead. So a little bit of my background, I was a lead first at a junior high. Budget cuts came because we weren't meeting ADA, and it went from 2 site lead position down to a 1 site lead position. I volunteered to step down and go to another site as a staff. So I went from site lead to staff of another junior high. 2 years later, became the site lead again, a site lead again at that site. Opened up a summer program down the road. And then I was there for 1 year before I was made the manager of after school programs. And then 18 months later, moved up into the director of programs for the nonprofit that I worked for. And it was because of the things that I learned in leadership. Did I mess up a lot? Oh, hell yeah, I messed up a whole lot. So what I want to teach you today is, how do we shift from power to influence? Because think about the people who you follow on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. The people that you follow, more than likely, they're called what? What are people called that are on social media that you follow? There's one word. What are they?
Influencers.
Influencers. Yes, thank you, Isabel. Influencers. Hence the word influence. You do not follow people who do not influence you. And think about all the people that you follow. Hopefully they're all friends that have influence on your life, family that influence on your life, or people that you look up to that influence your life. If you're following that ex that doesn't influence your life or influences you to go crazy sometimes, don't follow them. Stop it. So we follow people that have influence. And if you want your people that you oversee to follow you willingly and not follow you just because they're their boss, then you need to shift your thought process to, how do I influence my staff to follow me? And not follow me because of my title, not follow me because I've been here for a while. Follow me because they want to, right? So we're going to get into that right now. So let's get into, and how do we do that? We can influence people the way we speak and how we speak. We're not going to get into it too deep because we don't have enough time. But I like to teach site leads, directors, managers, how do we use our voice in a way that I can speak to you and you can follow everything that I say, but then when I slow things down and I take a little pause, your mind automatically leans in to listen. And so we're going to go over how we influence people the way we speak, how we can influence people the way we listen to them. And then this first part is how do we influence people throughout the conversations that we have? And those conversations that we have sometimes can be difficult. Let me know in the chat if you've had to have difficult conversations before, or maybe you need to this week to have difficult conversations. All right, let's get into it. And hopefully this presentation that I'm giving y'all is different than any, because we can all know that virtual can be a little boring. So hopefully how I do my setup from me being here and me doing the intro and me coming into slides is a little bit different than you guys are used to. So, because I want to make this stuff cool for y'all. All right, so let's go. Let's get into the slides.
Juan, we can't hear you.
How about now? We good? Good? Cool. I just had to switch something up. My computer froze and then kicked me out of my mic for some reason. Cool. All right. So what we are going to do is we are going to go over these three things: the overview, locating our leadership voice, and then effective listening. I already told you about myself. So here's the three reasons why it's difficult for us to have difficult conversation. I call this, we have the flu. If it's difficult for you to have tough conversations, it's because we have the flu, the F, the flood of feelings. The flood of feelings is, what if they get mad? What if they get angry? What if they don't like me? Here's the thing that I find a lot of times is organizations will elevate and promote people within groups. Like in your site, are there cliques? I would say 90% of our programs have cliques. And what ends up happening is when they finally promote somebody within that clique, then people don't want to follow you, or you have to write somebody up for being late. And they're like, bro, Juan, you and I were late all the time. We'd go to Dutch together and we'd show up 5-10 minutes late. And now you're going to write me up? Bro, we were doing the same thing like 6 months ago. And now you have to write me up? And so this flood of feelings, because of the relationships built, sometimes stops you from having difficult conversations. Next, the lack of repetitions. Because of the flood of feelings, right? Because of the flood of feelings, stops you from the lack of repetitions. You don't have difficult conversations because you're like, I'll just do it tomorrow. Or I'll just do it on Friday. I'll just wait till next week. We have like 5 more minutes. I'll do it tomorrow. And so we push it away. And when we push those things away, then the following day, maybe Michael is doing the right thing. Maybe Samantha's doing the right thing now. And so then you're like, oh, they fixed it. So I don't have to go and talk to them. And then 2 days later, here they come saying stuff to kids that they shouldn't have said, or mad dogging a parent because they gave them a dirty look. And so now we have to have that conversation, and it's worse because we didn't have it. So the flood of feelings, the lack of repetitions, and then we don't have time for this. I love to do this exercise to get down and dirty as far as pulling why, the reason why, because there's a root reason why it's hard for you to have difficult conversations, and the U is unresolved past issues. When we have unresolved past issues, it's hard for us to have difficult conversations. I'll give you an example. In the chat, or come off mute, finish this sentence for me that you might have heard, or maybe your parents grew up this way, maybe you grew up this way, but finish this sentence for me either in the chat or come off mute. Sit down and
be quiet.
Oh, Emmanuel, your people were nice to you. Yeah. Sheena got me. Shut up. Sit down and shut up, right?
Sit down. You're seen and not heard. Yes,
that's the next one. Students should be, or kids should be seen and not heard. That was the other one. And then the other one is sit down, shut up. Seen and not heard. And then there's one more. You speak only when what? Spoken to. Yep. And so this is what happens. If you grew up this way, you were told as a kid, sit down, shut up, be seen, not heard, and sit down, shut up, all those things. And so now that 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old kid is now a 20, 30, 40-year-old person in a lead position. And now you don't know how to have difficult conversations because you were always afraid of the person that was above you in leadership told you to sit down and watch your mouth. Don't talk to me that way. Respect your elders. And so now you have to talk to a staff that maybe is older than you. Maybe you have to talk to your boss that's a little older than you. And so there's a conflict or expectations, what I was talking about, that miss. And so it's hard for us to have difficult conversations. Difficult conversations are easier to have when you can resolve those past issues and find out why. And again, we don't have enough time. It's a long exercise to do. It's emotional. People cry. People will call their parents or their friend and I love you and I miss you and I didn't do this right. It's a whole thing, right? But when you can resolve your past issues, when you can start looking at your opportunities as repetitions, because you have repetitions in having difficult conversations, the conversations that you have with your significant other, with your friends, with your parents, with whomever, you have reps every day. And we don't see them as opportunities. And then get rid of your feelings. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but what I mean is you have to get past the feelings of the negative what if. What if they get mad? But what if the conversation that you have solves everything? What if that one conversation that you have goes a lot better than what you thought, but you'll never know because you never do it? I told my son the other day, you don't make the basketball shots that you don't take. How do you expect to get points if you never shoot the ball? Bro, shoot the ball. Your difficult conversations will never get easier if you don't start taking repetitions. Right? So we talked about this. Why the flood of feelings? I don't feel ready. I'm afraid, shy, or mad. And then you get in your own way. The lack of repetitions, right? We don't see the opportunities for growth. We become the victim of later, the daily grind. I'll do it tomorrow. And we're not confident because we're not trained. I don't know about you, but the organization I used to work for didn't really train us on having difficult conversations. They never really told us that parents were going to get in your face and start telling you off and mad dog you while they come pick up their kids. Didn't tell me that they would try to, harass me on social media. They didn't explain all that stuff. Stuff like that happens. So this is what I've learned. That there are 4 things that we need to be aware of why people don't follow you or make conversations difficult. Is they hear you but you're not listening, right? My mom used to tell me, "Ay, mijo, you hear me but you're not listening," right? Your tone is not correct. We'll address that. Your words are lukewarm. Well, you kind of came in late, and so we might need to talk. No, you either came in late or you didn't, and we are going to talk or we're not going to talk. So stop with the lukewarm talking, right? And then staff don't feel heard. So we're going to address those. So here's what I call the influence compass. We can influence people 4 different ways. Right? So let's go to here. So we can influence the way people think. Chow, look at that. It's crazy. The way people think, the way people feel, how they behave, and what they believe. And this is that compass. We can influence the way people think. We can influence the way people feel. We can influence the way people behave. And we can influence the way people and what people believe. So how we change the way or influence the way people think and feel is through our voice. This is what I call vocal mastery. Vocal mastery. We all have an instrument, right? Think about this. The painter's gift or their instrument is the paintbrush and the paint. For a singer or an artist, their instrument is the guitar, the piano that they play, or their voice to sing. So how come we don't, as leaders, we don't understand that our voice is our instrument? We must practice our instrument. We have to. My mom and my sister were in the music industry a long time ago, and they would have to do these vocal exercises. Even actors have to do this vocal exercises. There's times where, as a speaker, my coach tells me to make sure that I wake up my tongue and my lips. How do I do that? I snap my tongue on the roof of my mouth with my lips to make sure that when I speak, my lips and my tongue are primed and ready to enunciate the things that I'm about to say. When it comes to leading and influencing others, I have to wear the right hat, because if I know that I'm about to write somebody up, I might need to have a softer heart. And so then my voice needs to change. How are you doing today? I did this with my room host. I said, before we get started, I have a question. How are you doing today? Now, if I would have been like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for today. Hey, room host, how are you doing today? It comes off as a rhetorical question. But if I was to say, hey, Ashley, before we get started today, kind of want to know, how are you? How are you doing? It comes off completely different, because I have to understand that how I say something, there's a book that I read and it says that there is power in the tongue, that we can hurt people with our tongue or we can help people with our tongue. So just think about all the things that you say can lift people up or can bring people down. So vocal mastery is a huge deal. And then we won't go necessarily over this, but how I can change the way people feel and behave is through our body language. So when somebody's crossing their arms and they're going, or they're rolling their eyes, don't you get a little bit of attitude when you have somebody doing that? You have that one kid that you're trying to talk to and they're like this in their chair. And their body language is completely different, and you're like, oh my gosh, can you just freaking listen, right? And it changes the way you behave and feel because of their body language. I mean, if you pay attention to the stuff here, if you pay attention to the stuff like where you behave, how you behave, and how you feel changes because of body language. Right? If I was a staff of yours or a lead of yours and I said, who do you think you're talking to? Bro, just the tone of the voice and the pointing at my face, bro, get your fingers out of my face. It changes the way we feel and behave. Now we might become a little on the offensive side just because of how we said it in our body language. But sometimes when we talk to a student and we get down to their level and we're like, hey, mija, how are you feeling? I heard something bad happen, and you crouch down to their level so you're eye and eye. You change the way they feel and behave because of your body language and your vocal mastery. So let's get into that a little bit. So there's four different archetypes of speaking when we speak. There's motivator, there's coach, there's educator, and there's friend. How many of you, put in the chat, how many of you are quote unquote too nice? You're too nice. As a lead, people say you're too nice. People walk all over you. Even know you're like, having difficult conversation is tough for me. I'm too nice. Then we get the other side. You're the one that are too mean. You come off mean. People might say that you have an RBF. And if you don't know what an RBF is, go look it up. I ain't gonna say that on here. But some of you guys have an RBF of the face, an RBF of the voice. Like you just come off a little rough around the edges. Who's that? Who's too mean? Yeah. Same thing. That was me. I don't know if it was the bald head and like all the like tattoos and stuff when I'm wearing short sleeves, but they're like, Juan is mean. And I had staff that were like, no. Like you have to just get to know him. He's not mean. He would give the shirt off of his back for y'all. Like he would do anything for you. You just got to get to know him. So this is what happens. Sometimes our message, right? When we look at this, the friend archetype, you have conversations too much like a friend. Hey, Melissa, you kind of came in late. Bro, no, not kind of came in late. 15 minutes is still 15 minutes late. Not kinda. I tell my kids all the time, you can't kind of jump off of a roof. You either do or you don't. You can't kind of anything. So if you're late, you're late. Hey, you were late today. This is the second day, but let's talk through this. And I wanted to get to know, like, how can I help support you, communicate a little bit better? Like, let's have this talk. But notice the friend conversation. I don't want to hurt their feelings, so let me be really, really nice. And your empathy is turned all the way up. The people that are too, quote unquote, mean, you might be in motivator mode, right? In that archetype of speaking of motivator or coach. And we'll get into this because a lot of the stuff is on the next slide. We have to realize that when in all of these archetypes, there's the rate of speech. So think about this when you speak. There's a rate of speech. How fast you speak, the speed of it brings people engaged, right? Allows people to be engaged. But when we slow it down, then you start to understand the importance of it. You see pastors do this. You see motivational speakers do this, like good ones, that they'll speak very fast and they'll be, and I was here and I was here and I was here and then I was over there, but this is what I want you to learn. If you take down one note, this is what I want you to take down. That if you just do X, Y, and Z, right? And it's the pause and then they slow down for the importance. Tonality, this adds emotion. It humanizes the conversation. The tone of your voice, right? We do this when we see babies or puppies. Oh my God, puppy, right? The tone of the voice changes. Oh my God, the baby, right? Changes the tone of our voice. It humanizes emotions. It goes the other way too. I'm just so freaking frustrated. Like, how come staff can't just follow the directions the first time? They've been working here for 5 years. We have training the same time every freaking year. How come they can't show up on time? How come they're making doctorate appointments every time we do training? The tone of voice humanizes the conversation. The volume, how quiet or how loud we speak is either going to bring credibility or confidence to the conversation. And then the pitch and melody, how we play with our voice creates vibrancy and adds to the story. You guys do this a lot where you're like, my brother came in, he was like, oh, what are you doing? Right? We change our pitch of our voice to try to make two different voices to capture people in this conversation. So understand that when we speak, all of this stuff, people are connecting to their thought process. He sounded really, well, check this out, watch. Finish this sentence. Well, it's not what you said, it's what?
How you said it.
Yep. So if how we say something is so important, how come us as leaders are not taking this instrument a little bit more seriously? It's not what you said, it's how you said it. So then how come we're not working and fixing as leaders how we say things? And this is what I want you guys to fully understand. Your leadership can go from point A to point B really fast if you just listen, have the right hat on. Who do they need me to be? They're worried. So how do I give attention? How do I hear how do I handle what I hear? How do I give attention with the right attitude? And then how do I transform the temperature? And then how do I steward the position that I've been given? If I have to welcome a new staff, same thing. Maybe my tone needs to change. My rate of speech needs to change. My volume needs to change. Not, welcome to the after school program, and this is the thank you for coming today. And what is that going to do? They're going to be like, this is my leader? So this is what I want you guys to take note on. Motivator, right? It's meant to inspire people. Meant to inspire. You can influence people and by inspiring them by your voice. Listen, we're one person short today. It's going to be a little hectic today. But I know that this team that we have today can fill the gaps. We don't have our third grade teacher. We're going to separate our third grade staff into this, this staff's going to take 2 or 3. This staff's going to take 2 or 3. This staff is going to take 2 or 3. And then I'm going to take the rest. Yes. As your lead, I'm going to help out today, but we're going to have a darn good day today. Why? Because we got each other's back. It's going to be a little hectic. Let's communicate. We good? Awesome. And now we can motivate and inspire people, but not, hey, we're down to staff today. I need everybody to suck it up and pick it up a little bit. We had a bad day yesterday. We will not have another bad day today. See the difference? It's the same kind of voice, but notice where the pauses were, where we slowed things down, and the choice of words. So motivator, big volume. Notice here, big volume, big hand gestures. The rate of speech is fast, so those are plus signs. Big facial expressions, and legato and flow is a sense of possibility. Anybody play music, play an instrument, sing, that knows what legato and staccato are? Legato flows. It flows. It's like a river. Think about a river. It just flows. The way we speak or the way you sing, legato, it flows. Staccato, think about stop. Staccato is short and punchy. So the example that I give music-wise, Notorious B.I.G., in one of his songs, he spells out his name. It's the Notorious, you just lay down slow. That is staccato. It's short and punchy. And then after that, he goes into legato. He flows. He says, recognize a real dawn when you see one. And then he goes into, I'm going back to Cali. So he flows. You guys think of staccato like this. And you guys might see this in dramas or in some of your conversations. Say that one more time. I dare you. Say that one more time. That's staccato. But notice the understanding of attitude when it comes to staccato with that. So just understand in this whole thing that the way we utilize our voice can influence people for the better or can influence people for the worse. Educator is to inform or provide new insights. The rate of speech is slower and there's pauses. Less movement and just a matter of fact kind of pitch. And it ends on a lower tone. Think about an educator, right? Think about a professor. There's 4 things that we need to go over today. 1, you're going to do X, Y, and Z. 2, we're doing A, B, and C. 3, we're doing blue, red, and green. And 4, we're doing up, down, left, right. Notice the pitch and the melody down. This is an educator. This is how educators speak. But notice that if you're like reprimanding somebody, how it can be put offish. This is the 3rd time that you've been late today. Yesterday, you were 15 minutes late. Secondly, you were 30 minutes late. And the 3rd day, you were a no call, no show. I need something better out of you, or you will be written up. Notice the down of the pitch and the melody. Notice that you feel like you are like speaking down to somebody. But notice when you change the pitch and melody of your voice and you're doing it to students. Hey, when we go inside today, we're going to do 3 different things. You're going to go inside first, quietly. 2, you're going to take your stuff out of your backpack for homework. And then 3, you're going to look at the journal prompt and you're going to write down in your journal. Does everybody understand? And so now educator informs and provides new insights. Then you have coach. Coach is to guide and instruct. Big volume, no filler words or non-words like and ah. Strong assertive language and body language, hand gestures, and then staccato, short and punchy. Think about a football coach. We need to stop. I need defense. Step it up. Let's go out there. Let's put somebody on their butt. Get the ball back. Let's go get it. Right? It's short and choppy. And then friend. Friend is meant to connect. It's conversational. Ums and ahs are okay because it makes you feel human. So this is what I want you guys to look at when we do this. Is when we get into, let me move this. When we start speaking and we talk about motivator. Let me switch that. Let me do this so you guys can see this better. Let's go with this. Motivator. You have motivator, you have educator, you have coach, and you have friend. Here's the key. Here's the secret sauce to this on how do you become a good communicator. You add this. And this is what you do. I want to then get and flow through each one of these. I'm going to start off as friend. Hey, do you think we can have a conversation real quick? Hey, you have 10 minutes? You know, hey, Emmanuel, can we talk you have 2 minutes? Cool, let's talk. Hey, I want to know how things are going. I love today. You were on time. You did what you were supposed to do. You did this. You talked to that one kid. I love the way that you addressed this situation. But there were two things that I feel that you could do better that I noticed where you started to become frustrated. When the kid started to yell or the kid started to do this, right? So notice I went from friend to motivator to educator. Now I'm getting into coach. I'm guiding and instructing. And I'm going to do two different things. I'm not just going to tell what they're doing. I'm not going to say where we need to go. But here, simple leaders do this. Advanced leaders do this. They say the how and the why. But because of those two things, Emmanuel, I need you to switch, just tweak, just a little bit. You're not completely wrong on some stuff. Yeah, if I'm being honest with you, I'm going to be transparent with you. I want you to be transparent with me. I'm going to call out those things where you're wrong or that you're off, and we're just going to tweak it. That's it. So instead of talking to the student over them, your hands are on your hips, right? I want your hands, here, closer, and come down to their level. And we're going to switch these two things, and let me show you why, tell you why and how. Because I told them what we're doing and where we're going, but if I need to be more advanced as a leader, I want to tell them how and why. Because you're a big dude, the kid might think that you are, threatening. So come down to their level. Switch up the voice a little bit, bro. When you switch those two things, perfect. Are we good? Now I'm in friend. How can I help support you moving forward? And so I need to flow through things. But some of y'all, the two mean ones, right? The people that are too mean are in motivator or in coach. Hey, you did something today that we need to talk about. And these two things that you did, like you can't talk to a kid this way. You can't do this, and that. Like you can't do that. We need to switch some things. We need to change this because I'm not trying to get in trouble and I don't want you to get in trouble. And so you seem like you're trying to help them out, but it's coming off wrong. And then some of you are this other one. My two nice people are in friend too much. And you're saying, hey, so something kind of went wrong and we need to, and you can't do that. You can't do that. Juan, why? I don't understand why. Here's the reason why. That an emotional brain is a defensive brain. A defensive brain is a resistant brain. Let me say it again. An emotional brain is a defensive brain, and a defensive brain is a resistant brain. There are too many people who are going to resist you and what you have to say, even if you're the nicest person, because they're defensive. And they're defensive because they're emotional. And so we need to be aware. We need to be aware of who we're speaking with or to. And we have to think, is this conversation going to bring them bring them to an emotion, right? Because if they become emotional, they're going to become defensive. And if they're defensive, then they're not going to take in anything that I have to say, period. They're not going to take anything that I say. Why? Because they're defensive. And they're defensive because they're emotional. I've had tons of conversations with people and they're like, and as soon as you're here, you've lost it. It might need to be like, hey, we need to come back and circle to this conversation. Because I need to make sure that I get them in a good mood, that I speak, maybe I need to change the way that I speak. And so this is why it's important. But Juan, I don't want to be, rude. That's okay. We'll talk about that in a second. Here's what happens. That avoidant communicator just wants to think about the delivery. The avoidant communicator, the one that's down there, right? Here, where am I at? Here, the avoidant worries about the delivery. How am I supposed to say it? I'm worried about how to say it because I don't want to hurt their feelings. Maybe I don't do it. Maybe I ease up a bit. Maybe I'll just wait till tomorrow. The aggressive communicator focuses more on the message. They think, no, they need to understand that this is not right. And so they focus so much on the message. And so this is why people miss out. The avoidant communicator worries about the delivery. The aggressive communicator worries about the message. Here's what I want you to understand. This is what you need to focus on. The messenger. Because the messenger delivers the message and the messenger is in charge of the delivery. The messenger is the key. Check this out. I love this. I could say, I love what you do for a living and I love that you're in the position that you are and I think that you can do something big and great. Take me out, right? Whoever the sports are, I'm a big Dodgers fan. So let's say Mookie Betts comes in and says, I love what you do for a living. I love who you are. And I think, whatever, the sky's the limit. Pretty much the same message, right? And you're like, oh, awesome, right? Has nothing to do with the delivery. It has nothing to do with the message. It has everything to do with the messenger. But Juan, those are nice words. I know, but it has everything to do with the messenger. The messenger. Watch this. I'm going to do two people controversial, depending on where you are and where you are on this spectrum of people. Joe Biden can go and tell you, hey, I love what you do. I love who you are. And I think that the sky is not the limit for you. I think you can do so much. And some people will be like, bro, shut up. Don't talk to me. President Trump can tell you the same message. I love who you are. I love what you do. And I think the sky is the limit. No way you can go right through that. And I see a lot of potential in you. And some of you guys are going to be like, I stop listening to you as soon as you open your mouth. Why? Because of the messenger. The messenger has everything to do with the message and the delivery. So we need to work on us first, right? Myself. And then how I deliver the message that I want to deliver. The messenger is the most key ingredient in how we influence people. Because there are some people that maybe don't like you on staff. Because you're friends with so-and-so and whatever you say, right? And then it goes right back to this. It goes right back to this. This. Boom, boom, boom. Slides. It goes right back to this. They become emotional because of who you are. And they're defensive and now they're resistant. So then how do I work on my character? How do I work on me? Okay. One, I don't want to be rude. I know that, but listen, the truth can hurt, but the truth teller should not. Let me say that one more time. The truth is going to hurt. That's the reality of it. Truth is going to hurt. However, the truth teller should not. And that's how we deliver our message and the words that we choose to use. Okay? Real quick. 2 or 3 takeaways. Either come off mute or type it in the chat. What are your takeaways so far? Takeaways? What can you use so far in what you learned? We've gone over quite a bit of stuff. Two or three takeaways that you can use immediately, because you can use any of this stuff pretty darn quickly. You can use it right after this ends. Tone matters.
Kira has her hand up.
Go ahead, Kira. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really like the influence compass. Just good, like in our organization. So I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. That's where I'm chiming in from. And we went over a book called The Painless Performance Conversations, which was really cool. It's a great book.
Yeah.
But I really like this influence compass because it's just like tangible and it's basic, but it's like the basic things sometimes work. Sometimes you have to get out of theory and just look at the practice of it. And so just looking at like, how does my coordinator think? Like, how do I want them to feel? Again, what's the objective? What do I want them to behave and believe about the work they're doing and about themselves?
Yeah, it's powerful. Yeah, it's very, very, very powerful. I like that. Thank you for that insight. And again, it goes back to the whole H.A.T.S thing. How do I handle what I hear? How do I give attention with the right attitude? How do I transfer the temperature? And then how do I steward the position that I've been given to influence them? The influence piece is huge. Take out emotions and build the confidence to deliver the message more effectively. Yep, and tone matters. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, let's keep on going. Okay, so practice a little bit. So these are real conversations. I had to soften them up a little bit, and sometimes I will ad-lib what I remember when I look at this, but restructure these managers' conversations. Guys, what's going on? The kids are out of control, and half of you don't look like you want to even be here. That's not okay. We're here to run a program, not babysit. You need to fix it. People are watching us. The principal's watching us through their window. Parents are coming in and they're calling and they're saying that they're seeing certain things. Let's step it up. Next one. Why am I hearing about issues from parents and admin before I hear them from you? This actually happened. If something goes wrong, I need to know ASAP. Not after it's already a disaster. I need y'all to speak up. Here's the rest of that conversation, because I look stupid when a parent calls me or a teacher or the principal says, what happened here? And I had no zero about it. I'll give you a little insight. I had to come to a lead as a director and tell them, hey, I had a parent call me that knows me who went to go pick up their kid. And on the way home, they asked, how was your day? And the kid is telling them about the date that 2 of the staff had gone on that weekend. 2 female staff are talking about the date that one of them had with the male staff, that they've been crushing on each other for a while, and they finally went out. That same student was in a rotation talking to the guy, and the guy's staff was talking to another guy's staff about his date with the girl that he went on a date with. And so now we have a 6-year-old little girl that knows that they are in a relationship, and every secret detail about their date, which was very inappropriate. So I said, hey, can we figure out what's going on here? If you need me, let me know. And so that lead tore into that staff. And this is what I heard them say. So from what we learned, how do we fix this? How do we change our tone? Right? Usually when we have more time and we're in person, we break out into groups and you would rewrite this. So what would you fix on here? What would you fix on either one of these? And you can do it, you can write it down, you can come off mute, you can do it in the chat, but you can take it line by line. Guys, what's going on? Hey, hey, I have a question. Hey, you guys have a sec? The kids are out of control, right? How's the behavior in here? Maybe I just ask a question, right? Yeah, don't go straight into attacking. Yep. And I see it a lot. What's going on? David, sit down. Jacob, what are you doing? Get over here. Hey, actually, are you good? And it comes into this rhetorical question like, I'm passing your classroom. It's a mess. Are you good? And it almost comes off disrespectful, right? So yeah, don't go straight into attacking. The kids are out of control, and it looks like you don't even want to be here. Maybe I don't have that conversation right there and then. Maybe I hold off. Unless there's kids getting hurt or there's danger involved, ask them how they're doing. Check in. They might be having a bad day. Yep. I always used to tell my staff all the time, hey, I need to know transparency. I need to know how on a scale of 0 to 10, how is your day going? Because if at any point in time you're a 2 or 3, I'm okay to help you out. I just don't need you snapping on kids. If you're having a good day, cool. Can you help out? You know, Sheena, because she just said that she was having a bad day. And she's like, I'm going to need help. I need a second set of eyes because my mind is somewhere else. Cool. How can I help and support you? Transparency is big. Because we don't want to get into this next piece. 80% of staff report feeling overlooked and not fully heard or seen in their workplace, indicating a large number of employees who do not feel valued or acknowledged by their employers. How many of you guys don't have in the past, maybe not from this employer, asking for a friend, right? How many of you have not felt or have felt that you were overlooked or not fully heard or seen? Yeah. Yeah. And it sucks, right? And so what happens is sometimes we do passive listening. So the people over us or maybe next to us, they have passive listening. They start judging what you're saying. They start to give you advice, right? This is a typical guy, right? We try to always have the answer and always fix things. My wife will come home. She's like, oh my gosh, we had a horrible day. I had this staff. She's a leader in the finance department at a school district. And I'm like, well, did you try this? And how about this? And remember, I taught you this. And she doesn't need that. Wrong hat, Juan. She doesn't need keynote speaker. She needs husband hat on you. And she just needs you to listen. Because how many of you ladies just want your partner to just listen? I'm just trying to vent. I just want you to listen, right? So then we try to one up somebody, right? Me too, or even worse, right? I'm having a bad day. I drove. It took me 30 minutes to get to work. Oh, it took me 45 minutes. And you guys know that one person that always tries to one up you or one up the situation. I'm taking 2 classes. I have 2 jobs. I'm taking 4 classes and I have 3 jobs. Like, this is not about you, right? And so I just need somebody to listen to me. So we end up feeling not heard, right? Mind reading and then daydreaming. So this is what we do. If you want your staff to feel seen or heard or even those above you, this is what I want you to do. I want you to look out for these 4 things: content and words and emotions, vocal changes, and body language. Again, content and words and emotions, and body language, vocal changes, mood and emotion, content and words. Sorry, I'm getting a message here. Cool. And so, Juan, what does that do? I'm glad you asked. So when somebody's having a conversation and it sounds something like this, like you have a staff and it sounds something like this, I'm going to go forward a little bit. These are all staff that I've overseen in my tenure there. We're running on fumes here. We don't have enough staff, and yet we're still expected to manage everything like we're fully staffed. This isn't sustainable. And then we're the ones who get in trouble or talked to. Here's another one. It feels like nobody sees how much work we actually put in. The teachers on campus look down on us. The admin ignores us. But we just keep grinding with nothing. Do we even matter to the school? So this is what I need you guys to do. Is I'm listening for content and words. Do we even matter? Ooh, I'm going to use those words. What I'm hearing is and I'm going to kind of bring it all together. What I'm hearing is you don't feel, seen. You don't feel like there's an impact because the people over you don't seem to care. What I'm sensing is a lack of trust and confidence from the school staff. It sounds like you're on your last nerve or straw and you're almost at a breaking point. Body language. It looks like you're beyond frustrated and you just need somebody to listen, not only listen, but to do something about what you're bringing up. And so I'm just going to start with any one of those. I'm going to start with any one of those. And this is what happens. When I listen for content and words, what I'm hearing is that other person feels understood. The mood and emotions, what I'm sensing is it brings connection. Vocal changes, it sounds like it helps the person feel heard. And then body language, it looks like it helps the person feel seen. So when I look at this and I say, hey, we're running on fumes, right? They're gassing out. Well-being is going down. Burnout going up, right? So what I'm sensing is burnout is knocking on the door. I need to know, how can I help alleviate some of that stuff for you? What do you want to see me do specifically for you right here, right now? Like give me something that I can do right now that will help you in the immediate, and then that'll give us time to work on something that's a little bit more later, but it ends up being long term. We're expected to manage everything like we're fully staffed, and this isn't sustainable. And then we're the ones who get in trouble or talked down to. Where do you feel that we're missing the mark? What it sounds like is you feel like beat up, right? And people are like, yes, finally, somebody's listening and understanding me. So we want to reflect, right? This is what this is, reflecting. But I don't want to speak verbatim in what they're saying. I don't want to give them their exact words. We see this a lot in surveys. Like when you go shopping somewhere, people ask for a survey and they want you to type things out. Don't just put yes or no. And when people type things out, the company, Coke, Pepsi, whatever it is, what they do is they take the words that you've typed and then they use them in their marketing, which is why you're like, oh, I need that. When you see certain marketing stuff for like something stupid, like on infomercials, they're like, do you ever try to put your lid on top of your cup and it just doesn't work out and the guy's like spilling things everywhere and it's a little bit dramatic and overly done? Those commercials and things like that, they take the words from surveys because they want to know that they're listening to their customer. It's the same thing with your staff. Pick out those words, right? Again, content and words, moods and emotions, vocal changes, body language. Look for those things. Listen for those things. Listen to their own melody and pitch changes, their vocal changes, their body language, because it's going to influence you and how you respond, and how you respond is going to influence them on feeling heard or not. Juan, why is this so important? Failing to do so is going to lead to conflict evolution instead of conflict resolution. You're going to continue to have problems, and they're going to evolve into bigger problems if we are not conflict resolution based. Failing to do so is going to lead to conflict evolution instead of conflict resolution. Before we get into the next thing, what I want you guys to do is, if you have any questions in the chat, and I should have said this before, through all the stuff that we had, if you have any questions, this is what I want you to do in the chat. Put question mark, your question, and then question mark again, so we know that you actually have a question and not just responding to stuff in what I'm talking about. Takeaways. What are some takeaways? And you can send those questions either to me or to the room host or to everybody. What are some takeaways from the second part? Slowing down my speech when I want my staff to really grasp something. Yeah. And here's the other thing too. You check for learning. Check for learning, right? And we do this with our students, right? Hey, what places are we not going into? Yeah, we can't be in the NPR room. We can't be in this hallway because of parent-teacher conferences. Yep, you got it. Make sure that we stay aware of that. Thank you, right? Tone, watch for signs. Check in before speaking to staff. Yep. Do daily. How is your day going from a 1 to 10 with all my staff? Yeah, I love that. So this is what I tell people too. I do this with students. I do this with my own kids. And I do this with I used to do this with my staff on a scale of 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, how was your day? 1 being horrible, 10 being amazing. And they might say 5. The reason why I do this is because if I was to say, how was your day? What are people going to say? Hey, how are you doing? Fine. Okay. And that's mediocre at best. And I don't get any information. But when I say on a scale of 1 to 10, how was your day? 1 being horrible, 10 being amazing, they might say 7. And then I say, okay, if it was horrible, what good thing happened that bumped it to a 7? And they might say, kids might say, oh, my kickball team won. If it's my staff might say, I just got out of a quiz or a test and I got back into work. And as I was walking in, I saw that I scored a 98 and I was bombing that class. Then I switch it on them and I say, if it was an amazing day, what crappy thing happened that dropped it down to a 7? And they might say, oh, I got pulled over on the way over here. Or a kid might say, I got in trouble in class. Or a staff might say, I'm behind in my my enrichment or whatever. So now I know, what class did you take? Now I can ask follow-up questions. What class are you taking? How bad was your grade? What did that bring up? What did that bring it up to? Where are you going? Who's the professor? Right? I have a ton of more questions I can ask. Your kickball team, it won. By how much? Who was on your team? Who's your best friend on the team? So I have 10 more questions that I can ask. And now I know a lot more than, how was your day? I'm fine. Awareness and preparation before going into conversation with staff. Yeah, literally, like at home, I literally go on in my garage, like when I come home, and I will be like, okay, I'm taking my speaker hat off. I'm going into a situation where my son might have had a bad game. My other son is whatever, got a bad grade. How do I handle what I hear, give attention with the right attitude, transform the temperature, and how do I steward the position that I've been given as father? How do I steward the position that I've been given as husband, as wife, as daughter, as lead, as boo-boo fixer, whatever it is, right? How do I do that? Good job. Hey, do we have any questions at all? Any questions? I'm trying to go through here. So this is what I want to do while any questions might come in. This is what I want to do. I like to give, and so I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to give 2 things out right now. So let me see if this works. Hold on. I really have to see if this works because I tried it, and let me see if this works. Oof, no. Hold on. Enter. Give me a second to set this up and see if any questions come in. Okay. I want to make sure that I get everybody that was here and their names are right. Because there are some names in here that, so I'm going to do a little raffle. I just want to make sure that all the names are right on here, because the way I got it may not. I just want to make sure that all this is fine, because I'm doing a wheel, and on that wheel I got to put these names in, and some of these names are not coming out correctly, so you might be in here twice. Trying to find some of these names. So what I'm going to do is, let me do this first. Did I freeze again? No, I did not freeze. Let me go back to my slides, and I want to give you this. So those are all my socials. I'm not on social media right now, even though it's there. You can still follow me on there. But I'm taking all of January off, all of February off, and oh my gosh, stress levels are completely gone. Not being on social media, but I will be on there at the end of February or March 1st. That QR code is going to give you a couple different things. It's going to ask for a name and an email. There's two things are going to happen. One, you'll get a link for I think 100 quotes, like motivational quotes. But then what it's going to do is I go and give you 5 videos on how to have difficult conversations. I go in detail, and they're about 4 to 6 minutes a piece. And I go into some of the things that I utilize when I have one-on-ones with staff that help save the conversation. And so you'll get a video, I think today, the following day, and for the next 5 days, I think, something like that. And then you'll get an email like once a month, like, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, and things like that, like a newsletter. But I don't email very, very often at all. So you guys have a chance to look at that while I look to see if they took off the Zoom name. I just want to make sure that all these names are right. So while you guys are doing that, it gives me a little time to look at some of these names. So the next thing that I'm going to give out, and if I need to fix it, I need to fix it. I just don't know. Again, some of these names are all grouped together. So I'm going to try to do this the best that I can. This is what I want to do. I want to offer you 3 of you, like group or one-on-one, like training or assist in your work. So I teach a lot of leadership stuff. I travel, I speak, and I do trainings and things like that. But I want to offer you something free virtually. And so I'm going to allow 3 of you, if you guys want, to do like not a one-on-one, but a like group coaching on leadership, free of charge. So I think there's 22 names on here. So we were looking at who was participating, whose cameras were on, and that gets you in here. So let me see. I think this has been on long enough. Let me take this and go to the wheel. Bam. Let me know if any of these names are wrong. Because the way they gave them to me, for some reason, clumped them all together. And if I need to fix anything, then I need to fix it. But, all right, here we go. And if you want it, cool. If not, no big deal. There you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my email on here, and this is going to be all this is recorded, so I know. And then let's do another one. So let's remove you. Close. Let's do this again. There you go. And let's do one more. And that's it. There we go. Cool. So email me. And if you email me, then I will we'll pick up a date when we can do this, and we can rock and roll. Cool. My question to y'all is: Are there any questions? Any questions whatsoever? Let's go back to me. Cool.
Can you put your contact information back up?
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. Slides. There we go. And it's just Juan at weraisethebar.com, Raize with a Z. Here's my last little kind of thing that I will say to y'all is understand the position that you've been given, steward it, right? There are staff that are hoping and wishing for a lead that will help them with their leadership journey or them to get them from one spot to the next spot. There's some kids that you might be involved with that get in trouble because usually the leads are the ones who get those students that are maybe in trouble or need a little bit more guidance. But understand that you are the perfect person for their imperfect situation. A staff might be going through something and you're going to be the perfect person for their imperfect situation. A student might be going through something and you're going to be the perfect person for their imperfect situation. Understand that you've been given that position. I believe, maybe not your belief, but my belief is that God has put you in a position for a reason. And things are going to happen for that reason. And someone's going to say, I knew that my prayers, thoughts, wishes would be answered. And you are that. See, a leader is not a leader for themselves. A leader is the gift to somebody else. A mechanic is not a mechanic for themselves. A mechanic is a mechanic so they can help somebody go from point A to point B. A doctor is not a doctor for themselves. They are there so they can help heal somebody. And a teacher is not a teacher so they can educate themselves. A teacher is a teacher so that they can educate others. And you have been put in a leadership position so that you can lead others. Your leadership isn't for you. You are the gift to someone else. So don't just be present, be the present to your staff and be the gift that they've been hoping for. Be that leader that they've been wishing for. Steward the position. Make sure that you have the right hat on that they need you to be. So before you go into any boardroom or living room, personal or professional development, any living room, bedroom, kitchen, boardroom, classroom, office space, that you put on the right hat that they need you to be. Who do they need you to be? Not who do you want to be? Who do they need you to be? I look forward to maybe working with you in the future, whether it's for leadership, whether it's for your staff, whether it's for your organization. My information's here, and I travel all around the world to work with leaders like yourselves. Go be a blessing. Thank you so much. And I hope that this is not the only thing that you take away from today, that your other breakout sessions are great as well. Find that one thing that you can learn. God bless, and we will see you soon. I'm going to hang out for a little bit because I thought I saw somebody write something on here. But other than that, we're good.
Oh, thanks, Juan. The question was if the extra videos that they get with the QR code, will they be able to go back and watch them again?
Yes, they are emailed to you. And so you just go back to your email and you watch them. Yep, good question.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone, for coming. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. If you have any questions, we'll stick around to see if we can get those answered. And I believe we're on a lunch break for a little bit until the next part of the day. So if you have any questions, please come off mute or put them in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you.